Hello and welcome to Rauta's Extreme Metal Reviews. This time we have a brutal name with a very interesting band from Australia. This is Christ Dismembered, and curiously enough this one is self-financed release. Why? That's very peculiar because first of all we know that this is not a very new band. This is not inexperienced band, and by no means this is a bad one. So why does the band decide to go self-financed? That's something I unfortunately cannot tell you, but I can show you this much, that this review album, for example here, of Vampiricy is CDR copy. However, my very picky CD player decided to play just fine, so cannot really complain. But it's curious when a band of this quality, and of a little name too, is going this way. But let's take a look at the band's Metal Archive site. Well, I'll tell you a little bit of this album. First, however, as you can see, founded more than 10 years ago, and this is actually their second album. So maybe not the most active in terms of releasing album. After all, this was 8 years since the previous one, the self-titled one. But this as well is of good quality. Now, there is a lot of bands. There are a lot of bands in Australia playing black metal, and usually they have certain style which is kind of given to Australian names, much like you have certain styles in, say, Finland or in, say, Sweden, and you kind of already put it in a certain box because how it sounds and all that stuff. Now, Christ Dismembered, to me, especially this second album of Vampiricy, sounds more like a Swedish name than an Australian name. With Australian names tend to be very chaotic, sometimes leaning towards, death metal or thrash, like black thrash or all these combinations. However, this one is more like, hey, this kid cut out of Sweden decided to relocate to Australia, and that's how it sounds. Now, obviously, I'm talking about facts here, just figuratively. But like I said, this band has been out there for quite some time, and it's kind of curious that it hasn't really gotten, more albums, more music out than this. But the quality is right there. And if you were to take a look at the lineup, it's pretty different than it used to be. So rather new lineup in terms of, being banned at more than 10 years. And now it seems everybody else except one guy, the drummer, is a newer breed. And maybe that's how it sounds like it does. So this album comes with 11 tracks and almost 50 minutes of music, which is quite a lot. But considering the given style and how the quality is, can't really bitch about it. Now, there are two things that this album mostly nails, like how it's gonna leave its mark in the ears of the listener, and they are fast tempo and being very melodic. And especially this given melodic style is something that, gives me the Swedish feeling. There are so many ways to do melodic black metal. One is obviously this rather raw and grim, but very Finnish sounding thing. Another one is, for example, the so-called French melodic style, which tends to be very often very folky or so-called medieval style. This also applies to a lot of Quebecois bands, that is from Canada. But when we're talking about the Christ Dismembered style, we're talking about something that resonates with a very Swedish touch. And now, of course, people are dropping names. Hey, are we talking about Dark Funeral or Dissection here? Maybe Mörgryning, or maybe we're talking about Sacrament and the like. And of course, a bunch of melodeath bands, which tend to be quite close to so-called Swedish melodic style, even if the music is not purely black metal, but more melodic death metal. Sometimes these lines are very blurry, and that's why I mentioned them, because Christ Dismembered could really be coming from either of the different scenes, so to speak. So there is this strong Swedish thing going on, and obviously coming from me, it's more of a compliment, because no matter what kind of music Swedes are doing, they are more like golden boys. From pop music to rock music to black metal and so forth. So Christ Dismembered is, in my opinion, pushing all the right buttons in the right order. Could it be even more memorable? Sure, but now it seems like the engine is rolling really nicely and smoothly. So for people who are kind of used to having black metal gone very melodic and as such quite catchy, and of course then marry it to the more fast tempo style, to kind of a remind that we're still After all, talking about extreme metal, this is what you are getting. And in my opinion, they're really doing it nicely. The production, very, very solid. Vocals, they're kind of a basic standard of black metal, but in a good way. So nothing here exactly reeks like, why would you go self-financed? Like I said, I keep guessing this because usually when you have this kind of quality and the music style, which is very, very much like easy to sell in the world of black metal and easy to, in my opinion, conquer. I mean, it's very, very kind of easy to approach. That is, if you're ready to accept melodic and fast tempo black metal in the first place, usually these kind of bands are taken by some bigger labels, or at least the very least the medium-sized ones. Be as it may, obviously it doesn't have anything to do with the band's quality and all. It's just more like I'm expecting that to happen anytime soon. Musically, this album is good. Maybe not exactly a classic kind of good, but that's for future to judge. I'm saying that this band is going to be in places if they keep the activity level high, they keep touring, and they keep more music of this quality. I'm liking what I hear, and I strongly recommend that you will check it out. Of course, links are included in the description box, so you can start checking out their music. A strong recommendation for any kind of fans of melodic and fast black metal, if I didn't make myself clear by this point. So, an interesting one, and if you like it, go buy it. Other versions include here the digital version, and as well as this independent CDR version out already in February 2025. Now, go give it a listen and enjoy.